You know what my favorite day is?
I do know what your favorite day is.
My favorite day is highest and best offer day at 5 o'clock on Monday. In order for us to have a whole lot of fun with a listing, right? And that is get multiple offers and start having people duke it out. What I like to do is price inspirationally, as long as our sellers understand the strategy and agree with us, and that's how we go out.
Yep.
All right, what happens on the day that we have to actually make a decision about who we're going with to buy this house? So, seller, we've had our coming soon period prior to our Thursday listing. We went live on a Thursday. We got 17 showings, we got 5 offers. We had an open house where everybody came through and they knew that we called for all highest and best offers be due the next Monday at 5. And 3 of the offerers that made their offer found so much energy at that open house that they revised their offers and went up a little bit, and we got a couple more before Monday at 5. So here we are, it's Monday at 5 o'clock, and I have 7 offers, 3 or 4 of them which have been revised since they were initially submitted. What happens next? So, if everybody's familiar with Google Sheets, it's very easy. All you have to do is hit a link that we send you and open it. You can look at it, right? So we put all of our offers in a Google Sheet and we break them down top to bottom, from offer price all the way down to what your check should look like on closing day. What will I have in my hands and what's going to be transferred to my bank account on that day? Because that's what really matters, right? We're not worried about our list price. We're not really worried about what price the buyer is offering us. What are all the terms? What are the dates? How fast am I going to get the most amount of money with the least amount of hassle? And that's how we have that offer broken down. So column A is the highest seller net. Column B is the next as we go down. And here's what I tell my sellers. When you open this spreadsheet up on Monday at 5 o'clock and all of those offers are in there, I ask them, do you like wine? Okay, then do you like champagne? Then okay, do you like iced tea? You know, I'll say, pour a glass of whatever your favorite thing is and make sure you keep the bottle on the table. Because what you're going to do is you're going to give me permission to call every agent who's representing the buyers who are not the highest offer. And here's what I'm going to say to them. And you're just going to drink your wine while I make these calls and you watch the spreadsheet on the computer in front of you. And I'm just going to say the agent's name is Julia, right? Julia, hi, it's Rob Smith. And Julia says, hey, so what happened? Are we the winner? Well, Julia, I've been asked to call you and tell you that you are number 2 in line in terms of seller net, okay? So the seller has given me permission to disclose to you what they feel are the material differences between your offer and the highest offer. And Julia may say, is this a counteroffer? No, it's just an opportunity to see if your buyer can just stick their big toe over the line a little bit further, even though I know you've said you've submitted your highest and best.
Right.
And she says, okay, well, tell me what this is then. All right, the highest offer is $755,000 purchase price. Your buyers have offered $760,000, so we're $15,000 difference there. Also, your buyers are asking for $10,000 in seller paid closing cost. The highest offer is asking for nothing. So we've got a $10,000 delta there as well. That's all the sellers have told me are the material differences between your offer and their offer. Can you meet or beat that highest offer? And she'll say, again, is this a counter? No, we just want to know if you can do better. All right, well, when I call my buyers, do I need to send this back to you in writing as a revised offer? Oh no, I've got a spreadsheet. Just call or text, I'll pop it in here. If we like what we hear, we'll respond in writing and get it official. Okay, well, I'll call her now. How long do I have? 20 minutes. Okay, and then I'm calling the next one and the next one. And so what my sellers are doing, they're about 2 glasses in at this point, right? And then finally, I'll put a little note in the bottom right-hand side that I've outlined in red, and it'll say, I'm done. And then they pick up the phone and call me when they see me type that in, and it looks like we have a winner at that point. A couple of things take place when you do something like this. Number one, you really are working for your seller to get them the most money from the best buyer with the least amount of hassle. And who's taking on that hassle? Me. I enjoy it. The second thing that happens is buyers and their agents so appreciate the opportunity to really put their best foot forward. What we need in order for that to truly happen is transparency about what's going on. And guess what? The seller can give you permission to say whatever you want. You can show everybody's offer to everyone else if your seller gives you permission. But as a good listing agent, you've got to know from experience and from what the rules are, what should I do? What will help my seller and what will harm them? If I open my mouth and I say something about what the seller is willing to do and it's not on paper, I have to know, am I harming them or helping them when I disclose some of this information about offers? But I usually just get my seller's permission to at least call them and say, hey, here's the differences that my seller feels are important between your offer and this offer. So two main things that whole process does. It gives everyone an opportunity to really put their best foot forward. And the second thing that it does is it provides transparency in what's going on. So let's say a buyer doesn't get the property. I have to call them up. I call everyone up after this is done and I'll say, hey, you are the winner, congratulations, we're moving forward. Everyone else, I'll say, well, thank you so much for playing that little game on Monday evening. We appreciate the fact that you guys tuned up a couple things. Unfortunately, the sellers did make a decision to go with another offer. However, the sellers are keenly interested in getting a backup contract. Would your buyers be interested in being in backup contract on this property? And most of the time they will say yes, right? Because that energy is still going, the conversation is still happening, and I better ask them right then. Otherwise, if they hear nothing else from me all night long, and then the very next day we're just kind of like carrying on, and then they look in the MLS and they see that I'm under contract, they're like, hey, weren't we having a great conversation? We did all this work, what's going on? I always call and say, hey, would you like to be backup, right? And then sometimes if a buyer is way down on the list and they didn't even offer asking price and they asked for all kinds of moons and stars and things in their contract and we weren't going to give it to them, they may say, can you tell us how far off we are? And it's not that, the agent knows that they weren't going to get it. The agent is begging for an opportunity to educate their buyers on what's happening in this market with the properties that their buyer wants. I will literally hide the lines that have people's names on them in this whole spreadsheet, and I'll pan out, I'll screen cap the whole thing, including their offer, and my response to them is sending them that photo. And they look at that thing and they say, oh my gosh, you had 9 offers and we were the very last one? Because they can see the terms. I mean, again, I don't have the names in there or anything like that, but they can see their terms and how different they are. Thank you so much, Rob, for sending this to me. This helps me tremendously in helping educate my buyer on who their competition is for the next home that they're going for. Because we got to compete against all these other people except for the winner on the very next home, which just came up today, and now we know what to do. And their buyers were probably willing to do this, they just didn't see how far off they were. So I like to spread the love, I like to put things in front of people to help people in the future, and guess what? When I do that, I'm going to have a listing coming up in 3 weeks, and I'm still going to get offers from these people. And the more they know about how to play the game, they're going to win, and they're going to be our new neighbors soon. That's why I love that night. It's a great opportunity to put a win in front of my sellers and also put education in front of the buyers who didn't get it, so I can create a win for everybody in a few weeks.